The Super 10 of North American Big Game has become the most popular award within the Grand Slam Club Orbis family of Slam Quest, and rightfully so. To accomplish the Super 10, one must do a lot of big game hunting in many different parts of North America. Furthermore, one must hunt not only the mountain species, but the broad range of antlered game, and yes, the big predators too. We'd like to call Stan Bumbaugh of Pennsylvania to the stage. Stan took a Canada Moose in September 1997 as one of the earliest trophies toward his Super 10. In 1999, he scored on a Dall sheep in Alaska. Moved closer to the present, in January 2023, Stan got a huge mountain lion in Colorado on a hunt that he won on GSCO's Super Slam drawing. His Super 10 was completed in October 2023 with Wyoming pronghorn antelope. Oregon's Gordon Caudle is up next. He accomplished his Super 10 with a mountain caribou taken in the Yukon in 2023. In September 2017, Gordon took his Canada Moose in British Columbia, and on the same hunt, he got an American mountain goat. We'll finish his Super 10 with one of Gore's first trophies, a Rocky Mountain elk, taken in his home state of Oregon in 1996. James Clemenza of New York completed his Super 10 in October 2018 with a pronghorn antelope in Colorado. Along the way, he took a Dall sheep in the Yukon in August of 1995. In May 2000, James scored on a grizzly bear, also in the Yukon. Finally, we'd like to show you James' mountain caribou taken in September 2013, once again in the Yukon. Jan Daams of Belgium took a polar bear way back in 1993. One of the earliest trophies toward his eventual Super 10. In 1997, Jan traveled to the Yukon and got his Alaska Yukon Moose. In 2004, Jan was in Alaska and took his American mountain goat, and he completed the Super 10 with a Rocky Mountain elk taken in British Columbia in 2022. Connecticut's Tim Draper completed his Super 10 with a Nevada mule deer in 2019. One of his first trophies towards the Super 10 milestone came in 1999 and was a mountain lion in New Mexico. In September 2009, Tim was in British Columbia and connected on a nice Canada Moose, and will finish up with Tim's Alaska brown bear taken in May 2019. Next up is Randy Fair of Minnesota. We'll begin with his antelope from Montana taken in 2007. In 2009, while hunting in Alaska, Randy found success hunting Dall sheep. Randy traveled to British Columbia in August 2015 and got an American mountain goat. And finally in 2017, he completed his Super 10 with the South Dakota bison. We're pleased to recognize Whitney Freeman of Missouri for achieving his Super 10 milestone. He did so in September 2022 with an American mountain goat taken on Kodiak Island, Alaska. Whitney started his Super 10 quest on another hunt in Alaska back in 2005, only this time he was after barren ground caribou. In 2008, he was in Alaska once again and connected on his Dall sheep. Whitney's Rocky Mountain elk came on a hunt in New Mexico back in 2010. Like many others, Kevin Gilbert of Montana began his Super 10 journey with a white-tailed deer, and this buck was taken in his home state back in 1993. And in 2005, Kevin traveled to Alaska where he took his Alaska brown bear. Kevin scored on another home state trophy in 2014, an American mountain goat, and he finished his Super 10 in September 2023 with a Rocky Mountain bighorn in Alberta. That ram also completed Kevin's Grand Slam. Next, we call Brian Harlan of Texas to the stage. Brian completed his Super 10 back in October 2019 with a Shiras Moose in southern British Columbia. His first documented Super 10 trophy was a pronghorn antelope taken in New Mexico in 2008. In 2011, Brian got his mountain caribou in NWT, and he scored on a very impressive Rocky Mountain bighorn in New Mexico in 2014. Indiana's Mark Hedges started his Super 10 journey back in 2010 with a pronghorn antelope from Wyoming. In October 2017, he traveled to Kodiak Island, Alaska, and got an American mountain goat. Then in 2018, Mark made his way north to British Columbia and was successful on a hunt for Canada moose. He finished the Super 10 milestone in 2022 in December with a cougar from Montana. Next, we'd like to recognize Claude Howard III of Georgia for completing his Super 10 milestone with the barren ground caribou in the Yukon just a few months ago in October 2023. Claude's ninth species toward that Super 10 was an American mountain goat, taken in August 2023 in British Columbia. In 2022, Claude connected with an Alaska Yukon moose in the Yukon, and later that same year in New Mexico, he took a fine Rocky Mountain elk. Ohio's Dale Huntsman is up next, and we begin his presentation with the Dall sheep he took back in September 2014. In 2016, Dale was successful in taking a muskox and Nunavut with his bow and arrow. In August 2019, while hunting in NWT, Dale managed to get a nice mountain caribou, and the final trophy for his Super 10 was a black bear taken in September 2021 on Kuyu Island, Alaska. That completes Group 1. And now for our next group. Next up, we have Paul Jenkins of Idaho. Paul finished his Super 10 with a Dall sheep from the Yukon, taken in August 2023. One of Paul's earliest trophies was a mule deer, taken in his home state of Idaho back in 1999. Moving closer to the present, in 2014, Paul took a Rocky Mountain elk, and in 2018 he got a cougar. Both of those trophies were also taken in his home state. Now we come to Seth Jenkins of Wyoming, who began his journey toward an eventual Super 10 back in 1998 with an antelope from his home state of Wyoming. In 2019, Seth went on a Rocky Mountain bighorn, again in his home state. Moving along a few years, Seth took a Rocky Mountain elk in October 2021, and he finished his Super 10 milestone September 2023 with both a muskox and a Central Canadian barren ground caribou in Greenland. We're pleased to recognize Barry King of Wyoming for achieving his Super 10 of North American Big Game. Barry finished his Super 10 in August 2023 with an American mountain goat in British Columbia. He connected on an Alaska brown bear in October 2011, and in September 2012, he took a nice Shiras moose in his home state of Wyoming. We'll finish up by showing you the cougar Barry got in Nevada, also in 2012. Mississippi's Will McGee began working on a Super 10 at a very young age in 2007 when he took an antelope in New Mexico. He was a bit older by 2011 when he hunted cougar in Utah and got a nice tom. In 2017, Will took a barren ground caribou in Alaska, and he finished his Super 10 in September 2023 with an impressive Alaska brown bear. One of the earliest Super 10 trophies for Dan Marks of Pennsylvania was a white-tailed deer that he took in his home state back in November 1993. We move forward 10 years to September 2003. Dan traveled up to Alaska and found success on a Dall sheep. A more recent trophy on Dan's list was a bison he got in New Mexico in February 2020 and finished the Super 10 in October 2021 with an antelope from Montana. Arizona's Garrett Newland completed his Super 10 in late November 2023 with a nice desert mule deer from Sonora, Mexico. A couple of days earlier, Garrett also got number 9 toward his Super 10 with a desert bighorn. In September 2021, he traveled to Alaska and was successful on a barren ground caribou. Last, we show you the Rocky Mountain elk Garrett took in September of 2020 on a trip to Utah. Now we invite Ronnie Norcross of Texas to the stage to receive his Super 10 award. Ronnie completed his Super 10 with a cougar in Colorado back in January 2023. But one of his earlier trophies was a white-tailed deer from British Columbia that he got on a hunt in 2010. In October 2019, Ronnie scored on a Rocky Mountain elk on a hunt in Colorado. Then in May 2022, he traveled to Kodiak Island, Alaska to get a great Alaskan brown bear. Eric Stanoshek of Texas holds the distinction of being the only muzzleloader Super 10 recipient to be recognized this year. Two of his earliest animals were both taken on a self-guided hunt in Alaska. Those were the grizzly bear and the Dall sheep, which you saw earlier. In 2008, Harry took his cougar in Nevada, and in 2014, while on a self-guided hunt in Montana, he successfully hunted an American mountain goat. Eric finished his muzzleloader Super 10 with an antelope from New Mexico. Virginia's Steve Stone is up next for Super 10 recognition. Steve got his eventual Super 10 started back in 1995 with a Quebec Labrador caribou that he took in Gaba Bay, Quebec. Moving closer to the present, in October 2010, Steve traveled to British Columbia and got a Canada moose. June 2014, he found him back in British Columbia, where he took a fine grizzly bear, and Steve finished his Super 10 in September 2022 with an impressive muskox taken in Greenland. We're pleased to recognize James Turney of Florida for achieving his Super 10 milestone. James completed his Super 10 in August 2023 with a Dall sheep from Alaska. Moving back a few years, James took a black bear in 2009 in British Columbia. Then in 2014, he took his Rocky Mountain elk in Utah. Finally, we'd like to show you his cougar taken in British Columbia in 2020. Next, we call Idaho's David Tuttle to the stage to receive his Super 10 award. You see a mule deer David took in Texas. And next up, we want to show you his black bear, which he got in 2005. Moving along to more recent animals, Dave connects on a pronghorn antelope in 2016. And finally, we wrap up his presentation with a muskox from Nunavut that David got in 2023. Now we'd like to recognize Evan Zeiger of Alabama for completing his Super 10 milestone while on a multi-species hunt in Nunavut. There he connected on both a muskox and a Central Canadian bear and ground caribou in September 2023. In 2016, Evan traveled to Idaho to take his mule deer, and in August 2023, Evan was in British Columbia and got his American mountain goat. That completes Group 2. Now let's move along to the Archery Super 10 milestones. Lee Duett of Mississippi started the quest for an Archery Super 10 with the Utah Cougar back in 2012. 1 year later, Lee was in Colorado where he arrowed his Rocky Mountain elk on a self-guided hunt. In August 2014, he hunted in British Columbia to get his American mountain goat. And Lee completed his Archery Super 10 and began a journey toward an Archery Grand Slam with a Mexicana Desert Bighorn taken in Sonora in 2023. Rob Stout of Ohio achieved his Archery Super 10 in August 2023 with a Dall sheep taken in NWT. Backing up in September 2015 while on a hunt in British Columbia, Rob took his American mountain goat. Then in 2019, Rob arrowed a nice muskox in Greenland. The last photo we'll see is Rob's Alaska Yukon moose, which he took in the Yukon in September 2022. Oklahoma's Jim Treeman completed his Archery Super 10 in 2022 when he took an American mountain goat, a black bear, and a Canada moose all on the same trip. Earlier, Jim had taken a Rocky Mountain elk in Wyoming in 2017, a cougar in Alberta in 2015, and we'll finish by showing you the woodland caribou Jim arrowed in Newfoundland back in 2017. This concludes all of our Super 10 awards for this year. One more time, let's give all these Super 10 recipients a big round of applause.